Creflo Dollar Ministries.
Coming up next on Changing Your World.
Mammon wants you to think that you have power when you have money. And for most of this world, they govern the power based on the amount of wealth that somebody has. But boy, when you get sick of a cancer that they ain't got no cure for, only God will show that he has the power to do what your money can't do. Money can buy you a house, but it can't buy a home. Money can buy you medicine, but it can't buy you healing. Money might be able to buy you a little friend for the night, but it can't buy you an intimate, loving, lifelong partner. Only God can do that.
Bloom, Radical Women's Conference 2024 is almost here. On Thursday and Friday, March 14th and 15th, take your growth to new heights with Taffy Dollar, Frislin McNair, Laura Pickett, Dr. Anita Phillips, Egypt Sherrod, Grammy Award-winning artist Samara Joy, and much more. Secure your seat now by texting RADICAL to 51555 or visiting www.taffydollar.org.
This is your world, so let's vow to make it a better place. Let every heart that needs to know your love is here to stay. Oh, it's time we live a new life. Oh, let us love shine bright in you. We're saved by his grace, so we embrace your love today. We are changed.
There are 2,350 verses in the Bible about money. How can that be? 2,350 verses. And like I said, money is not bad, but loving money is. Trusting money is. Valuing money more than you value God is. Making an idol of money, and an idol is based on the value you assign to it more than God. Have you assigned a value to money more than God? Do you trust that money can take care of you when God is saying, please give me a shot? I got you, but you have valued money. You have placed a value on money greater than God. Money is like a hammer. It can help or it can hurt. Somebody says, all right, Pastor Dollar, I'm hearing you, but how do I know if I have the love of money? If I got the love of money, I need to know whether or not I have the love of money or not. I need to understand whether or not I have the love of money. Can I give you some practical things? It's going to sting a little bit, right? It's going to sting a little bit, right? People freaking out. They hate the fact that I even use the word money. Watch this. Let me give you some things to check your life out. Evidence that you have the love of money. You let a paycheck direct your decisions rather than God. Number two, money makes you anxious and fearful. Money makes you anxious and fearful. Number three, when you are obsessive about building wealth, you have a love for money. Number four, this is the most obvious one. You've cheated, you've lied, and you've stolen to get wealth. You've cheated, you've lied, and you've stolen to get wealth. Number five, you feel stingy. Why are you laughing? Number six, you don't give offerings. There you go. Jesus ain't never said nothing Jesus ain't never said nothing about no offering, and Jesus ain't never had nothing to do with no offering. Oh, I beg to differ. In fact, I'm going to show you a scripture right now where he sat right there in the middle of the church and watched people as they gave an offering and made a comment. Go to Mark chapter 12, 41 through 44. Mark 12, 41 through 44. Let's look at it in the, King James. And Jesus sat over against the treasury, and he beheld how people cast money into the treasury. Who beheld it? Who was looking? And you get offended if your neighbor look at you while you're giving. Don't be looking at what I'm giving. It ain't none of your business. Jesus was looking into the treasury to see how they were giving. And he said, and many that were rich, they cast in much. And there came a certain poor woman, widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow woman hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Now look at this in the NLT. So people go around talking about, well, Jesus, you know, he never had nothing to say about this. Jesus sat down near the collection box. My God, that's messing up your religion, right? Now, right about now, you might be saying, is he trying to trick me? Can't you read? Jesus sat down near the collection box. See, what's happening right now, you're trying to figure out, do I preserve my traditional belief about money, or am I going to change? See, what you got to understand is you have to be careful not to change the Bible. You got to let the Bible change your thinking. And some people are not ready for that to happen. I always thought like that. My grandmama and them told me that. And bless God, Creflo and Tiffany ain't going to change my mind about nothing. If you hang on with me today, I'm going to show you there's a demon behind all of this. There's a devil that's been working for centuries in this country. Jesus sat down near the collection box in the temple, and he watched as the crowds dropped in their money. How many of you know Jesus is still watching? Many rich people put in large amounts. Then a poor widow came and dropped in 2 small coins. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, come here. I need y'all to see this. So now you got his disciples looking at it. He said, I tell you the truth. This poor widow has given more than all the others who are making contributions, large contributions. For they gave a tiny part of their surplus. It was a big offering to that temple, but it was a small part of the surplus. But she, poor as she is, has given everything she had to live on. Listen to me carefully. When you pursue security and comfort over God's plans and purposes for your life, you have a love of money. Money for Christian people should be attracted, not pursued. So you've been listening to too much of them power speakers. They're teaching you to pursue something that you should be attracting. Yeah. All right, now follow me. I'm about there. The moment you start pursuing money, it becomes a spirit of mammon that's motivating you. The moment you start pursuing money, a spirit of mammon, you become a part of a spirit of mammon. And I don't know nobody in this nation, well, almost every entity in this nation is mammon driven. It's about the bag. It ain't about caring for you, it's about the bag. The motivation behind what most entities are motivated to do, I won't say all of them, but most of them, is this spirit of mammon. Now let's deal with this. Mammon is an Aramaic word meaning riches. And at the heart, there's an attitude that says, at the heart of this, that man doesn't need God, that we're self-sufficient. This is what the spirit of mammon tries to tell us. You don't need God. Trust in money. That's what the spirit of mammon, it is a demon. It is demonic influence. You don't need God. Trust in the money. Mammon was the name of the Syrian god of riches and money. There was a false god that was called Mammon, and it was the Syrian god of riches and money. And in Revelation chapter 18, the city of Babylon shows a city or a world given over to the spirit of mammon. It shows a world, a city that was possessed by the spirit of mammon with all of its greed and avarice. An unhealthy relationship and trust with the material world. That's what Babylon showed. Now, prophetically speaking of what is to come in these last days, as I analyze Revelation 17, verse 1, through Revelation chapter 19, verse 4, I kept seeing Babylon the Great. And it was prophesying a rebirth of Babylon the Great. The first one, I think, was located in Iran, Babylon the Great. That city fell. It's not making reference to that coming back again. But I want to read to you the characteristics of this new Babylon the Great. And you make your own decision. The identification of Babylon the Great was identified as the great world superpower of the end times. Babylon the Great has the largest economy of any entity in the world. It is the center of wealth in the world, and it is responsible for an extended period of global wealth creation in the end times. Babylon the Great has shaped global culture in the end times. In a directly anti-Christian manner, it shaped global culture. Stuff that came out of Babylon the Great seemed to spread around the world. Babylon the Great has the greatest political power of any entity in the end times. Babylon the Great is considered to have the strongest military in the world of the end times. I don't know, help me, but all of these characteristics uniquely and definitively match the United States. And another part of prophecy was the Antichrist and the 10 horns, or those 10 nations that will be with him, declared that he cannot carry out his objective until Babylon the Great is destroyed. And that is supposed to take place before the second advent, or the second advent is when Jesus comes back with the church and he steps foot on the earth for the battle of Armageddon. It should happen somewhere, maybe in the close to the end of the tribulation. Now watch me carefully now. Mammon is in direct contrast to the Spirit of God. Mammon says, buy and keep it. God says, sow and reap it. Mammon says, cheat and steal. God says, give and receive. Mammon is looking for servants, and it wants to rule your life and take the place of God. Remember, Mammon was this Syrian god of riches, and Babylon was a city that was given over to the spirit of Mammon with all of its greed and avarice. It's almost hard to trust anything that's said in this nation, because you know it's Mammon driven. That it's motivated, that somehow, some way, money's behind it. Even if it has to release something to kill people, let's just keep quiet. We made our money. It costs more to get medicine in this country than it does anywhere in the world. You wonder, in some nations, they give free education. They give, I think we left a country where they give, they take care of your health, is free. Ain't nobody paying to go to the doctor or nothing like that. They will turn you out to die if you don't have the money to receive the services here. Things that were mammon-driven. Slavery was mammon-driven. What could make another human being enslave another human being and say they're less than a human being because they got different color? White folks got different color too if they go to Florida and stay for a while versus those who in Alaska. But what was driving force? What was the driving force behind slavery? Cotton was big business. Mammon. Mammon. I don't see why every state can't take their state university and offer free education to people that live in that state. When are we going to impart into our people? No, we can't do that. We got to get paid. Mammon driven. A propaganda that's going out nationwide, messing people's mind up. But at the end of it, what's the motivation? Mammon. Money takes care of us. And even some churches got involved in it. I'll do anything to get the money. Even continue with a lie about giving, as long as it doesn't affect my bag. You know the risk? It wasn't really a risk because God told me to do it. To talk about and teach tithing, it didn't bother me because God was the one that was going to be my source. But people who didn't know God as their source, it scared the lights out of them. For a man with this big of a microphone to tell people that under the New Testament, God is asking for you to give a generous offering and not 10%. Do you understand the devils that went crazy? Mammon said, oh my God, he's trying to mess with our money in the church, because a lot of things that's done in the church are money driven. Look at Luke 16:13. Mammon is looking for servants. It wants to rule your life. It wants to take the place of God. Mammon wants you to crown it the idol of your life and to give it more value, that you trust that money more than you trust your God. And that's why it's always hard to give, because you're like, wait a minute, I don't trust God. This real right here. So Jesus said here, he said, no servant can serve two masters. Two masters? I only know one. For either he will hate the one or he'll love the other, or else he'll hold to the one and despise the other. And then he identifies the two masters that you can give value to. I was shocked when I saw this. Yea, he said, ye cannot serve God. He didn't say money, and mammon. You're going to serve the God of mammon, or you're going to serve the God of grace, who is well able to take care of you. Mammon is selfish. God is generous. Mammon tries to take God's place by promising us everything that only God can give. Only God can give you real security, but mammon will try to give you security. And you think your security is in the money. And mammon's setting you up to try to disappoint you, because you're thinking your security is in money. And when it fails and when it falls, and there's prophecy about money failing, when it fails and when it falls, if you don't value God's provision more than mammon, he's going to say, I fooled you. Mammon wants you to think that it can take God's place and provide for you significance. Only God can give you real significance. Mammon wants you to think that money can give you real identity. Only God can give you real identity, because I know people with a lot of money and they still don't have no identity. Mammon wants you to think that you have power when you have money. And for most of this world, they govern the power based on the amount of wealth that somebody has. But war, when you get sick of a cancer that they ain't got no cure for, only God will show that he has the power to do what your money can't do. Money can buy you a house, but it can't buy a home. Money can buy you medicine, but it can't buy you healing. Money might be able to buy you a little friend for the night, but it can't buy you an intimate, loving, lifelong partner. Only God can do that. Money wants you to think that you have real freedom when you have financial freedom. And everything paid for, and you still are a slave to some substance that you're abusing in the back room of your mansion. Money is not our security. God is our security. In the last days, the love of money, preparing you to be a part of the community of Babylon the Great. I ain't doing it. I'm going to trust God. You put me in jail, I'm going to trust God. I already been there. I'm going to trust God. I'm trusting God. You got to make your mind up right now. See, it's easy to come play church, but now we getting down to the nitty gritty. The for real Christians, those who money will never take God's place. I'd rather give it all away. And that's what keeps Taffy and I in the right position. Y'all giving. Anytime I'm scared to give a certain amount, I give that plus, because you will not govern my life. You will not govern my life. If there's a car I love too much, I get that car away. If there's a house I fell in love with, I get that house away. I'm not going to be married to stuff. I'm not going to be married to money. I don't want nothing that I can't give when God tells me to give it away.
Who or what do you trust? In the 3-message series, Trusting God in the End Times, Creflo Dollar breaks down how to declare dependence on God when so many people choose idols for themselves.
God has got to be your source. Everything that you'll ever need in this life has already been made available, but you can only access it by your faith. Grace is this unmerited favor. It is provision that keeps increasing over and over and over and over again. Provision that will show up for those who depend on Him. It's grace, that's God's part. It's dependent on Him, that's man's part.
For a love gift of only $20 or more for CDs or $30 or more for DVDs, secure a copy today. Call the number on your screen, scan the QR code, or visit CrefloDollarMinistries.org and click eStore. Learn how to genuinely trust in God.
All roads lead home. After the East Coast West Coast tour, it's time for Homecoming, the reunion. The 2024 Grace Life Conference is already set for July 11th through 13th, right here in College Park, Georgia. We're going to have a real reunion experience, and it won't be the same without you. With guest speakers Gregory Dickow, Andrea Creighton, Inky Johnson, Bishop Clarence McClendon, and Michael Smith. Anticipate hearing a message of grace that will transform your life.
For me to come here, it's all in God's plan. I got some confirmation, my praise is on 10, and I'm excited about the next day and the next day and what all God has. So Grace Life, I would never miss it each year, man.
Text Grace Life, one word, to 51555 or scan the QR code to reserve your spot now.
I think you would be amazed at what Creflo Dollar Ministry does every day around the world. Testimonies come in from all over about the impact we have. And I wish you could see the kids we feed. Their lives are changed and impacted for the better because of you, our givers. The seeds you sow into this ministry make a mark that can never be erased. And I want to thank you so much for your financial contributions into the kingdom of God and into this ministry.
If God has placed it on your heart to support the vision of this ministry to reach the world with the gospel of grace, you may call in to make your financial donations or log on to CrefloDollarMinistries.org. God bless you.
Because of you, Creflo Dollar Ministries is providing a new understanding of grace and empowering change in the lives of millions of people every day. Thank you, partners and friends. Your love and financial support makes it possible to bring this message into millions of homes all across the globe. The preceding program was brought to you in part by the partners and friends of Creflo Dollar Ministries.